Latino man. I've always had a little hard identifying myself. I've had 2 female partners and 2 male partners.
Mixed transgender woman.
I'm a cisgender gay man.
I'm a queer, gender non-conforming individual that toggles between gender non-conforming and like trans man.
Coming out is awkward for me. It was for me.
Like free. I think free would have to be it.
Courageous.
Okay, if I could describe my coming out in one word, it would be mess or disaster.
I think when I first came out, it was very painful. So I was sent to a reparative therapy program for 2 years, which was in and of itself very painful. But in the midst of all of that, I mean, I knew it wasn't going to work for me because I couldn't be anything else but a gay Latino man.
When I turned 18 that I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't take this pressure because I couldn't talk to my parents. I had tried and they had already stuck me in a mental hospital for 3 weeks. And it was a very difficult time. And I didn't think I could take it anymore. And I attempted suicide with a ring rifle. Learned real quick that suicide is not the solution. You may think it is, but to end your life is taking away any possibility that you have of getting through the hard time to achieve a happiness or an ability to be who you are in a few years, or in my case, another 50 years.
Oh man, my coming out was, oh man, I want to say it was a disaster. It was pretty much like a mess. And so my parents, I lived in Las Vegas, they would go to the casinos sometimes, like the local casinos, and just gamble, just like go to the arcade for adults. And so they came home and I was like, I just ran downstairs and they were like, oh hey, and I was like, hey, how'd you do? And they're like, oh, we broke even. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm gay. And I just dropped it on him. And I remember they just looked at me and like they didn't say anything. And I remember very vividly my dad went and got a glass of water and then sat down on the couch. And mom just looked at me. And like they didn't say anything and I was like, okay, well that was easy. And I just like ran upstairs. And then the next day the shit hit the fan and like, you're too young to know what you're doing. You don't know, you don't understand these feelings, whatever you think. That Will and Grace on TV is corrupting you, kind of thing. And so then it was really hard at home and it was just a disaster. And then my dad threatened to kick me out of the house and he was really vulgar with me. And it was just bad, because he was in the military at the time, so it was very much like I can't have a son who's gay, blah, blah, blah. So he's since calmed down, thankfully. But it was a disaster. And so like my home life for the next, I would say, year was pretty shitty. Because then it was like this big fight and then it was like, we didn't talk about it and it was just like that awkward tension. Then slowly it became, they got over it, and so, yeah. So mess, basically a mess, I told you it was a mess.
Awesome. So when my mom finally asked me like, hey, that Ray in the picture with you at Brass Monkey, is that your Ray? And I was like in the drive-thru buying French fries, and I had to like pull out and be like, yes it was. That is my Ray. It was a Chick-fil-A. It was a Chick-fil-A. I was going to Chick-fil-A to get French fries because they have waffle fries and they're really good. And I feel really bad about it. But that's how I came out to my mom. Was in the drive-thru with Chick-fil-A over the phone. It was super awkward. And I didn't even get the French fries because I just had to I came up to my mom and I was just driving away, and then I called Ray and then I was just like, what's happening? But yeah. That's how I came out.
After a lifetime of hiding, it allows me to be who I am. There's just things that sometimes you have to go through that are extremely difficult. And having a counselor that can help you, and having patience and understanding that change doesn't occur overnight. It takes a baby 9 months in a mother's womb to develop, and it takes a trans person sometimes a long time to develop too.
I feel like I know more of what living is. I may not have much, but I have myself. I never dated and had anything happen like that until I started coming out. And when I started embracing, knowing the fact that I may not only like women, that started freeing me. But I really was freed when I started transitioning, hormones and things of that nature. It gave me a backbone because I was willing to accept rejection to have more happiness.
I think coming out is important for a lot of different reasons. I think mainly it's so you can be true to yourself, so you can make sure that people understand who you are when you go into any environment. I'm not necessarily saying you have to do it, but I think it's important if you really want to do what you want to do in life.
Coming out is important because it's important for those people to, in your life, to know who you are and what you represent, so that they can have a face to
live
that.
with a secret for a while, but after some time, I think it starts eating away at your insides, and there's this angst, there's this anxiety, there's this fear that people are going to find out, and what's going to happen to me, and my whole life is going to fall apart, and people are going to use this against me.
It's like living a real life. It's like you're no longer role-playing as something which doesn't make sense. When you actually get to come out, you're authentic.
There's never going to be a right time to come out. It's never going to be, it's 3 a.m., I must be lonely. But no, there's never a right time to come out. And sometimes you just have to do it. There are going to be consequences, absolutely, but that's life.
Because I felt like, do you know when like you hold your shoulders up and you don't even realize who you are, and it isn't until you release and you're like, oh, I was holding my shoulders up, and like that, and I didn't think it was gonna be like that. For me, like, it wasn't a big story. Like, it wasn't like this dramatic event. I was like 23, I wasn't a teenager. So I think like everybody's story is different. And like, I think the emphasis on having like this amazing story is like bullshit, because it's just life. Like, it might be really cool, really fun, or it might be horrible, but I don't know. I think there's like pressure to have this like big event, and like you just know. And it wasn't like that for me. So.
My life has changed drastically since coming out. I don't feel so restricted. It's a big, heavy burden off my shoulders, so to say. People have committed suicide because they didn't want to come out, because they felt that they couldn't come out. Because people didn't let them be them. And now, unfortunately, they're 6 feet under, and here we are. Here I am with my gay privilege. I like to say that, or as I like to say that.
It is going to be painful. It is, because accepting yourself, coming to terms with who you are, whether it's an issue of gender identity or sexual orientation, it is, because you come face to face with the unknown.
Don't expect it to go like you want it to, because it might not. You can never predict how someone else is going to react, whether it's like your family or like your friends. You don't know how they're going to react. So it might be difficult to come out, but don't worry that you'll never find someone who won't love you or understand you or accept you.
You can pick your own family. Like, if it doesn't work out, like, it sucks. It sucks really badly, because like there are a lot of people on that side of my family that I love and that I really miss. But finding your family wherever you can is super important, and was something that I did. So my friends are my family, and that's fine with me.
I don't want to say it gets better, but it does. It does get better. It gets easier. Not for everybody, and I know not for everybody. Like my mom wasn't super accepting at first, but she came around. My dad was actually really chill, which totally surprised me because I thought I was going to be the opposite. Like my mom's like a liberal. My mom has out friends. Like my mom has had gay friends since I was a kid. I thought she was going to be chill. And she kind of freaked out. Like she went like totally like, and the band played on super 1980s. Like you're going to get hate crimes, you're going to die. And my dad was just kind of like, who's a Republican? Like Mitt Romney Republican. Like, but my dad was like super okay. He's like, you happy? And I said I was, and he was like, okay, then I'm glad. And that, I don't know, maybe your family won't surprise you. Maybe they won't. Like, my uncle and aunt certainly are not going to surprise me. We're going to talk about heaven and hell, and I'm like, I'm okay. But, I don't know, I think have the capacity to know that, like, people in your life, maybe it's not your parents, maybe it's not your best friend, but, like, someone in your life is going to be totally okay with you being gay, and you don't know it yet.